Antarctica station on the edge of the world. For the 6 scientists stationed there, the months-long polar night was a challenge they had signed up for willingly. A chance to study the region's shifting climate and the mysteries locked in the ice. Dr. Ian Ward, the team leader, looked out through the frost-rimmed window at the encroaching twilight. The sun had dipped below the horizon for the last time weeks ago, and now only a dim, eerie glow lingered, painting the snow in shades of grey and blue. The true night was coming, a darkness that would stretch for months. "We've got this," Ian said calmly to himself, though the unease in his chest told a different story. Inside, the station buzzed with the hum of generators and the low murmur of the team's voices. Dr. Raj Patel was recalibrating the weather sensors. Anna Johansson worked on cataloguing ice core samples. The others, Luis, Sasha, and Connor, were scattered throughout the station, busy with their own tasks. The routine was comforting. It started with the footprints. Luis was the first to notice. During a routine check of the supply shed, he spotted them. Deep, uneven impressions in the snow, circling the station. They weren't human. Too large, with claw-like indentations at the tips. "Seal?" Connor suggested, when Luis showed him. "No way," Luis replied, shaking his head. "Seals don't walk like this. And besides, they're not supposed to be anywhere near here this time of year." Ian frowned as he studied the tracks, kneeling down to get a closer look at the strange impressions. They seemed to lead away from the station, stretching out in an erratic line before vanishing into the endless white expanse of Antarctica. The wind had already begun filling some of the deeper marks with loose snow. "Let's keep an eye out. Could be an anomaly," he said quietly, though the unease in his voice suggested he didn't quite believe his own explanation. But the tracks weren't the last anomaly. Over the next few days, the station's systems began to falter. The temperature sensors fluctuated wildly. The radio crackled with bursts of static, interspersed with faint whispers that no one could quite understand. And then there were the shadows, flickering at the edges of their vision, too quick to catch but unmistakably there. Anna was the first to break. Late one evening, she burst into the common room, her face pale and her hands shaking uncontrollably. The other researchers looked up from their stations, startled by her sudden entrance, and the raw fear etched across her features. "Someone was in my lab," she whispered. "What do you mean?" Raj asked, glancing nervously toward the hallway. "I mean someone, or something, moved my samples. They're scattered all over the floor, like someone was looking for something." Her voice cracked as she wrapped her arms around herself. "The petri dishes, my notes, even the backup specimens, they're strewn everywhere. And the strangest part is, nothing seems to be missing. It's as if whatever did this was searching but didn't find what it wanted." Ian tried to calm the group. "It's probably just the cold messing with us. Isolation and the dark can play tricks on your mind." But he wasn't convinced. That night, he stayed up, poring over the station's security footage. What he saw chilled him more than the Antarctic winds ever could. The cameras, prone to occasional glitches, had captured something moving through the station, a shape just beyond the range of the lens, flickering in and out of view. It was tall, impossibly thin, and its movements were jerky, almost insect-like. Ian didn't sleep that night. The next morning, the station's generator failed. The lights flickered and died, plunging them into the kind of darkness that felt alive. Sasha and Connor worked frantically to repair it, while the others huddled in the common room, the dim glow of battery-powered lanterns their only comfort. "We need to leave," Anna said, her voice trembling. "We'll never last the night. Not with whatever that thing is out there, stalking around in the dark." She wrapped her arms around herself, eyes darting to the frost-covered windows where the perpetual Antarctic night pressed against the glass. "Leave?" Raj snapped. "How?" "The nearest outpost is over 200 miles away, and the storm would kill us before we made it halfway. So we just sit here and wait to die," Anna shot back, her fingers digging into her arms hard enough to leave marks through her thermal layers. Her breath came out in visible puffs, despite the station's heating system working overtime. The argument was cut short by a sound, a low, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate through the very walls of the station. It was followed by a scraping noise, like claws dragging against metal. "Everyone stay together," Ian ordered, grabbing the station's only flare gun. They moved as one, creeping toward the source of the sound, the airlock. The door was ajar, snow drifting in through the gap. And beyond it, in the swirling darkness, they saw it. The creature was unlike anything they could have imagined. It towered over them, its elongated limbs ending in razor-sharp claws. Its skin was pale, almost translucent, and its eyes glowed with a faint, otherworldly light. When it moved, it seemed to ripple, as though it were only half tethered to their reality. "Back inside! Now!" Ian shouted. They slammed the airlock shut and bolted it, but the creature didn't attack. Instead, it lingered, its glowing eyes fixed on them through the small window. Then, slowly, it faded into the darkness. Over the following days, the team's numbers dwindled. One by one, they disappeared, always during the hours when the darkness was deepest. Luis was the next to vanish, his absence marked only by his uneaten breakfast and a single boot left by the supply shed. Then Anna, who had barricaded herself in her room, but was gone when they broke the door open, leaving behind only scattered research notes and her tablet still playing music on repeat. The barricade she'd constructed from her desk and chair remained intact from the inside, as though whatever had taken her had simply passed through the walls themselves. Connor was nowhere to be found, his radio still crackling with static on the kitchen counter next to a half-empty cup of coffee that had long since gone cold. They searched every corner of the camp, calling his name until their voices grew hoarse, but only the wind answered back, whistling through the empty corridors like a mournful dirge. Ian grew desperate. He kept a journal, scrawling notes and observations, his handwriting growing shakier with each passing day. Deep circles formed under his eyes as sleep became impossible, his mind racing with theories and fears. "It doesn't need to break in," he wrote, pressing so hard the pen nearly tore through the paper. "It's already inside. Maybe it always was." The last words trailed off into an illegible scribble, the page dotted with coffee stains and smudged fingerprints. Raj and Sasha tried to make a stand. They fortified the common room, setting up makeshift weapons from tools and equipment. But when the hum returned, resonating deeper and louder than before, their courage faltered. Sasha screamed, a sound cut short too quickly, a strangled cry that echoed through the empty halls before dissolving into silence. And then they were gone, leaving behind only scattered tools and the lingering vibration of that otherworldly hum. Now it was just Ian, pacing the ruined station, the flare gun in one hand and a lantern in the other. His boots crunched over scattered papers and broken glass as he moved from room to room, the dim light casting distorted shadows on the walls. He whispered to himself, half prayers and half mad ramblings, fragments of childhood hymns mixing with desperate pleas for salvation. He swore he could hear the creature's steps, a deliberate and taunting rhythm just beyond the reach of the lantern's glow, like claws dragging methodically across metal floors, growing closer with each pass. When the relief team arrived, only Ian remained, gaunt and hollow-eyed, his sanity frayed like old rope. He was found huddled in the airlock, knees pulled tight against his chest, mumbling incoherently about shadows and teeth. Dried blood caked his fingernails where he'd clawed at the walls. His journal was clutched tightly in his hands, its leather cover worn smooth from constant handling, the last pages filled with frantic scribbles that grew increasingly erratic. "The dark is not empty. The dark is not empty. The dark is not empty." The words repeated endlessly until they became little more than jagged lines gouged deep into the paper. The station was in ruins, its walls scored with deep gouges that looked disturbingly like claw marks. Shattered equipment and twisted metal littered the corridors, sparks still sputtering from torn cables overhead. Of the other 5, there were no signs. No bodies. Only that single message remained, scratched into the metal near the airlock with such force that steel shavings still dusted the floor beneath. The dark is not empty. Ian never spoke of what he saw during those final days, but the look in his eyes, a mixture of terror and resignation, was enough to haunt those who had come to save him. The Antarctic station was abandoned, left to be swallowed by the ice and the endless night. Hope you enjoyed our story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories from the void.